Hey, I'm Les, and this is Comfortable Shoes Studio and another episode of Art Making. I'm using photos from Earth's World on Instagram as my source for the images that I'm sketching. So all these faces are real people from a variety of county fairs and state fairs where Earth's World has gone to take photos. They take really great photos with great attention to light and shadow, and they work great for sketching from. You get some images of real people that aren't photoshopped or retouched in any way. It's just real folks, and I like drawing from that sort of resource. So in this instance, I am using what I call a faux ink wash technique, as well as a real ink wash technique. So you can see here I used a brush pen, a Pentel pocket brush pen with brown ink in it, and now I'm using a water brush to move that ink around on the page. I'm working on top of a page that has been toned with yellow ink. So I'm moving the brown ink on top of the yellow ink and just moving it around to get some of my lighter shadows and some darker areas too. This paper does allow the ink to move pretty well on the page. So after I do that, I'm going to pull out a regular fountain pen, a Fude pen to layer in the areas of super darkness on this face. And yeah, so trying to get this dude's beard in with some really gestural lines. Um, and letting it, again, not going for total realism here, just trying to catch the vibe of his beard and the volume of it through some, little squiggly lines that look like hair to me. Um, Adding in the darker lines and shade around his face. So this is a technique that lets me look for areas of shadow with the faux wash and lets me build up those shadow layers. In the next image in this video, I do use a uh, water brush pen that I filled with water and India ink. I have a couple of them filled with different strengths of India ink. So basically different, like a lighter shade and a darker shade. I don't know if I use that on this face or not. Yeah, I do. Here we go. So I'm using my, what I call my number one uh, um, ink wash. This is the lightest ink wash that I have. So it's, I think I started with 40 or 60 milliliters of water, and then I think 40 drops of ink in it. Um, I'm using Dr. P.H. Martin's Bombay Sapphire. Was it Bombay Star India ink as my India ink of choice. But here again, I'm going in with my brush pen, really feathering in those areas of dark on that lady's face. Um, just looking for the darks. You'll notice there's some line quality to this, but with a brush pen, even though you can get a lot of line variation, I do have a tendency to look for blocks of shadow. Um, I think largely that's because it is a style of drawing that works better for me is to look for blocks of shadow, blocks of light, and differentiate those. Um, this is my preferred style of drawing. I do a fair amount of contour line drawing, but that I find it works, but it's not my favorite. This is what I really prefer is looking for those areas of dark and light. So here again, I'm in with the water brush, moving that, brown ink around a little bit. It is blending a lot with the yellow, which I found I actually really like with this brown ink, and I ended up mixing up an entire sample bottle of the brown ink with that yellow in particular. Um, and it really, I don't know, it doesn't, this is a really purplish brown ink. It's very warm. But the yellow softens it a little bit, makes it a little more earthy. and it brings it to the sepia side of things rather than the, reddish purplish area. So here I'm working the Fude pen into areas of wet India ink, and I am doing that on purpose to get the ink to feather a little bit. I'm actually looking for that effect. It's not something that you can control, but it's something that you can kind of understand is going to happen. The ink is going to spread out. You're going to get some of that feathery wispiness, and I really felt that this face needed that in some areas. Um, and with the ink that I've got in this pen, once it dries, it doesn't feather. It's not going to spread out. So this is a waterproof drawing ink. It is the Roaring Klinger that I've been using pretty consistently, and I gotta say, it is my favorite now. It is something that I absolutely reach for again and again over any other black ink for fountain pens. It's deeply dark, and it just works really well, really, really well. So I think that was face number, was it 71 or 81? 81, I think. Yeah, that was 81. All right, so here I'm coming in with um I'm starting with a line drawing. I'm trying to force myself to be a little looser here. So I'm using this Fude pen upside down to start to block in this guy's face, looking for lines and shadow again. And I'm really letting myself be super loose here because what I'm trying to do is capture this face as quickly as I can. I just want the lines to kind of stand on their own before I add any shadow to it. And this is a technique that I struggle with. Capturing a face in as few lines as possible is something that I'm not good at. And so it is something that I have been practicing as part of this 100 Heads challenge, is forcing myself to do those contour line drawings that I'm not as attuned to, or I don't find as enjoyable, if I'm totally honest. It's a great tool to learn, and I really do like it for that because it really forces you to kind of look for the lines in a face, forces you to kind of look for the aspects of the face or whatever it is you're drawing that will give you the essence of that person, place, or thing. In the case of a face, I'm looking for the eyes, specifically around the eyes and what the eyes look like. I'm trying to capture that shape. Also, the shape of the nose is really important. Like, if I want to draw a portrait where someone recognizes the person that I'm drawing, I really want to capture the eyes, nose, and mouth. Not perfectly, but the general shape of each one is important for it to be a recognizable person. And it's difficult. It's difficult to do. It's not as easy. And it's taken, hundreds of faces to really learn how to capture that in a way that works. So here I'm going in with my, number one ink wash brush. So I'm just layering in the shadow. Most of this face is in shadow um, on this person. There's some reflected light on some parts of the face, um, but a lot of this face is in shadow, so I'm trying to block that in. And in this case, I'm allowing the yellow to be my lightest areas because this is a person with lighter skin, and yellow works quite well at being able to represent light on a darker skinned person. Yellow is a good color for that. Um, and often a lot of the reflected light inside of a darker skinned skin tone can have a yellowish tinge to it. It can be pure white, um, but not often. Oftentimes you'll have that warmer tone in that light shade. Um, so I also use my number two ink wash. So that's a much darker, more than twice as dark as the other image. Um, all right, so I added a bonus pencil sketch here. One of the things I'm trying to do is use materials for these last few sketches that I haven't used as much, or something that I just want to revisit. In this case, it's the humble, regular old pencil, although this is not a regular pencil, it is a Blackwing. I believe it's their matte core. I don't remember what cores they are. I just picked them up and it's like, oh, this is soft, this is medium soft, this is uh not as soft. So, yeah. So again, I'm trying with the pencil to capture this guy's essence with as few lines as possible. And in this case, it's much easier to capture this person because they have a great hair shape, and also a really full beard. And sometimes I find when men have an interesting hair shape or a full beard, that it is easier to depict them or get the vibe through capturing the shape of the beard and hair. Um, as long as you get that, this guy, he's got glasses on. It's hard to catch. Couldn't see his eyes. I could see some shadows in there. But instead I went for this kind of capture. So I'm filling in the hair with the side of the pencil. It works really well for capturing a lot of dark really fast. And this pencil is really nice and dark. A lot of graphite ending up on the page. This paper is great. This Five Below sketchbook is fantastic for taking a lot of pencil. So if you sketch in pencil, the Five Below sketchbook is a win for you. So anyway, just going in using the pencil at a bunch of different angles. The great thing about pencil is you can capture light and dark through moving your hand around on the pencil and testing out, like using the side of the graphite. You can go back in with an eraser and clean it up. All right, so that's the end of my time here. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something from it. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and all of that fun stuff. See you next time. Bye.